guys, I've got another special guest today, Josh Revell, and we're going to chat about Formula One. Nice of you to come on. Josh, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yep, all right. So in case you don't know who I am, I'm Josh Revell, a New Zealand YouTuber, and apparently a vast hater of Lance Stroll. So, yep, that's basically me.
Yeah, so I thought today we just talk a bit about Formula One and how we all got into it and whatever we can talk about. As the title suggests, it's going to be the Unplanned Formula One Chat. So shall we start off? How do your love for the sport start?
Yep, so it all started about 2001, 2002, something like that, when I got my first PlayStation console, and the first game I got, and I still got it now, was Formula One 2001. And so that was sort of my introduction to it, and introduction to the sport, and of course there were highlights, on the next Sunday of the race, and gradually got into it. And I think I began watching proper full-on races in 2007, I think it was. So that was sort of when I started to go more into it, and basically I haven't missed a race since. So
how do you find, because you're from New Zealand, aren't you? So how do you find getting up for every single race?
Well, it's easy for me now because obviously this is full time, so I don't have a timetable to adhere to. But normally races here at about 1 a.m., 10 past 1 a.m., and that runs through until about 3 or 4 in the morning. So if you're on a regular schedule, you either sort of sleep well beforehand, or you try and get a bit of sleep before work and hope and pray that you wake up on your alarm. So yeah, that's the when people say, "Oh, the Melbourne Grand Prix, we have to, get up early for that," or whatever. It's like, that's our freaking life here in this part of the world every single weekend. So yeah, a little bit of a struggle, but I've got a love of Formula One, and it's not that hard to stay up for the race. Unless the Mercedes are dominating, which they always are.
Yeah, so how can you remember what got you into Formula One? Like what obviously you started enjoying the game, and then you got into the races. But can you imagine what was the first race that you ever saw?
The first race I do absolutely remember seeing, was the 2003 German Grand Prix. I think it was 2003, or was 2000. I'm pretty sure it was 2003 when Jenson Button's visor came adrift, and he had to hold it down during the whole race. So that's one thing I do remember, and probably the first race I did properly watch. I think it is. Again, memory's kind of foggy. My life's a blur.
Yeah. So and then obviously, because we've done collaboration about Lance Stroll before, and I must admit, I really love your content. And
thanks, mate.
When did you decide sort of this is what you want to do? Because it takes you about 40 hours to do one video?
Somewhere in that vicinity. About the sort of 10 minutes worth of video takes about 40 hours to make, but sometimes it gets a little, much. Like the Ricardo Rosset video, I think took about 150 hours to make. That was an absolute nightmare to make. So it does vary, for sure.
So what made you grow? What made you sort of you love Formula One, and what made you sort of decide, I'm going to do this? full time on YouTube, basically.
So the first video I made was the Andrea Moda video, which is a steaming pile of garbage. But that was sort of made when I had like the microphone. Like everyone said the microphone was crap. Like it was just a £5 headset that was broken in half. Like half of it was gone. I didn't know where it was, and the microphone was dangling by the cord, and I was speaking into that, and that was what I had. And it just sucked. But then 6 months later, it just grew, and it just went viral. And I figured, okay, let's do this again. My mate, he was involved with music and stuff, and he had this microphone, and I borrowed it for a while, and then it ended up being 6 months when I borrowed it before eventually I bought it off him. And I just wanted to get the videos. I think there's a lot of content creators out there that develop videos which are more blog based, but I wanted to do something that was sort of informative, but it can also be fun as well. It's something where you get all the information that you need, but people who aren't very well versed in our sport, they can enjoy it as well. And I've had people come up saying, "No, I don't know anything about the sport. I still don't even by watching your videos, but I really enjoy it." And that's pretty cool, really. So yeah, it's all been about sort of infotainment, just about pretty much.
Yeah, I can totally relate to your story, because I don't know whether you know, but four years ago in 2016, I had labyrinthitis, which is like an ear infection, but like a really bad ear infection type thing, and it developed into into labyrinthitis, which is basically where your mind, although you're sitting down, you sort of don't know where you are. Sort of your perception is a bit sort of wonky.
Oh, dear.
And obviously that then they couldn't diagnose the doctors because I'm in a wheelchair anyway, so they couldn't do the test. Because if you had it, for example, you wouldn't be able to walk. Yeah. You wouldn't be able to walk. So obviously that would be a lot easier to diagnose. But obviously I can't. I'm in a wheelchair, so I can't walk as the crow flies. Basically, I can't walk. So they couldn't do the test. So it took them about 6 months to sort of figure out what it was, and then so I was ordering a taxi one time, and then somebody said to me, "Oh, we don't take drunk people because you're pissed."
Oh, Jesus.
And I obviously wasn't pissed. So basically, I took that a bit too hard because, because of me having labyrinthitis, I had panic attacks at the same time, and because everything somebody said, I took literally. So I didn't speak for like 3 weeks,
Yeah.
and then the doctor said to me, "Raz, there's nothing wrong with you mentally, but we need to get you speaking again." Bear in mind, I didn't even speak to him. That's how much it affected me. So he said, "Get yourself a camera and record yourself talking about Formula One, because that's what you like. That's what you love doing." So I thought, you know what? Screw this. I might as well put it on YouTube. And as you said, I started off with a 20 quid camera, and then I had a headset microphone, and I started off with really bad green screen, obviously the sound was absolutely terrible, and
Yeah.
I was getting nowhere. And then and then I started doing eventually when I knew that this was actually was going to be something that I was going to do for like the foreseeable future, for the long term. I don't know how it is about you with you, but YouTube. I mean, I still do translating German, English, German as well. But actually, YouTube has sort of become sort of the majority of time that I spend doing. I don't know how it is. I don't know how it is for you. Do you spend has YouTube become your full-time job?
Yeah, it has, and it's weird, like, I mean, I love having the regular job and such, and up until about a month ago, I was working as a journalist at New Zealand Autocar, and I liked it. It was pretty cool, but I had to devote my full time to either job because it's very time consuming for both of them. And people obviously want videos out every week. For me, people want it out every day. Every day, it's like these videos take a while to make.
Yeah.
So yeah, and there was a lot of other things that I wanted to cover, different formats, different types of videos. So much territory I wanted to cover, which was not going to be doable under a regular job. So I sort of had to make that leap. And there are going to be some difficult months, in terms of income and such, but that's sort of, that just comes with the territory of going full time into YouTube. It's not a guaranteed income. It's not guaranteed anything really. But I feel that there's a lot to offer in this platform, more so than what you're seeing right now. So yeah, it'd be good to see where we go from here. But it's been quite a ride so far.
So yeah, I mean, I wish you all the best. As I said, I really love your content. And I just can't believe that you actually do all the videos yourself, sort of with because the animation and the scripting and the stuff, because how do you do it? Like how do you actually? If I said to you tomorrow, if I said to you today, the next video I want you to do is about Michael Schumacher's career, how would you start that?
Right, so basically, it's sort of research, going through different sort of sources and such. Really, there's got to be sort of a thing sort of out of it, like out of Michael Schumacher's career. So in this instance, it would be, was he the greatest? And so, you'd start off at the beginnings of his career and his junior career and so forth. You compile all that information and you do a brief summary. Then you get to Formula One, and then you do you highlight all the points that make him one of, or if not the greatest driver of all time. And you just do that for however long you can. You just put all your ideas down as a rough draft. So the first draft, and then you go through it 2 or 3 times, and you just check and see if there's anything you can add in there to make the flow better, or what forth. Once that's done, and once you finalize the script, then you do the audio. And of course, my audio comprises really of sort of fast cuts, and that's to keep people sort of immersed in it. You don't really take a break. You're constantly in the flow of the content. But that takes a while to cut together. You're listening to all the audio, and then you're cutting out all the little bits where you stumbled words or anything like that. And so that, redoing all the audio, can take 4, 5, 6 hours, something like that, just in audio alone. Then you put the audio into the editing software, and then that's when all the magic starts, really. So yeah, but my videos have always been about sort of a purpose, like answering a question that a lot of people are asking. So, for example, is Lance Stroll any good? So that the purpose of that was not about is he a good Formula One driver? It's about is he a good driver at all? And the answer is yes, he is. But the last 3 years just weren't good enough, and there are improvements needed to be made and stuff forth. So there was that sort of thing done. Why Dan Ticktum's new gig is a good thing, and it was all about, he was done by Red Bull, and being picked up by Williams could be a good thing for him, so he can learn from his previous mistakes and mature more as a driver because he's got good, raw talent. So there's got to be something behind it, for my videos. It's sort of, something that people aren't doing, which again was the whole purpose behind the channel in the first place. And then, of course, you've got the WTF Happens to, which, everyone wants a WTF Happens to, like everyone. WTF Happens to Timo Glock's goldfish or whatever, but, there's a lot more sort of about it, like there's got to be sort of like, well, what actually happened to him? Like someone who supposedly came in with all of this sort of Legion of John Henry's hammer, and then just it dissolved into nothing, rather. And it looks like the next one may be Romain Grosjean, considering if Gunther Steiner's had enough. But, I don't know if Gunther Steiner actually wants to keep on Romain,
Yeah,
I guess we're going to have to see.
It's like I can totally relate to that because, how do you... you must get a lot of requests from people to do the you must get a lot of requests from people. But how do you deal with? How do you make the decision whether to make How do you make the decision whether to make them or not?
Well, again, it comes down to whether or not there's something behind them. So we'll draw two examples. So Scott Speed, who, he's going to have one. This was a person who won the Red Bull driver search in America, and he had a good junior career, and then his Formula One career ended after a punch-up with the team principal at Toro Rosso. So, it's one of those, that's a story where you're like, what? What happened to this guy? Then you take Adrian Sutil, where, I don't know, he sort of existed in Force India's circles for quite a while and sort of just almost went nowhere, sort of, he dissolved into nothingness almost. Like, again, I don't think there's much of a story behind him. And there are people that want that, but again, just like, I don't know, not something there. It's not where I ignore people at all. That's not the case at all. It's just, sometimes there really isn't a story there, which is, can be a bit disheartening for some people to hear that. But, yeah, definitely don't want to start forcing content because that's when sort of, things go a bit downhill.
Yeah, the reason, I don't know whether you've seen any of the previous Unplanned Chats that I've done, and the original idea was, it's still the idea that I just invite people to come on the show, whether it's a YouTuber or whether it's like anybody that likes to talk about Formula One. And now that I've had some big celebs on, I never planned for that. Yeah, I never ever planned for like that. I just put out a tweet and said, dream guests would be, and then I tweeted a list. But the reality of it is, I talk, just because I didn't include any celebs in that list does not mean I wouldn't talk to them. If they are willing to come on, obviously I can't pay them or nothing. But if they are willing to come on, then and give me half hour of their time or whatever it may be, then I'm not going to turn them down. But the strange thing is, it's like I've had people saying, "Oh, you need to try and get Lewis Hamilton on. Yeah, you need to try and get Alexander Wurz on. Yeah, and of course, I mean, these people would be awesome to have on. Yeah, but it just, I mean, I talk to them. I talk to them, but it's just very unlikely. But just because I didn't include them in the original tweet does not mean I wouldn't talk to them. I talk to any of them. But which is why I'm sort of I asked you how you deal with requests and stuff.
Yeah. So, sorry, coming off guard. Yeah, been a long day. Yeah, in terms of requests, video requests or such. Sorry, I'm lost here, man. Sorry. Yeah. Look. Oh my good grief. Sorry. Very, very tired. And I've really messed this recording up. I'm really, really sorry.
No worries.
So when you talk about how I deal with requests, you talking about with video ideas or about collaborations or something like that?
Collaborations.
Oh, collaborations. Right. Well, I mean, generally, I'm down to collaborate with anybody. Any YouTuber that wants to collaborate, I'm fine with doing so because, I'm aware of what the grind is like, and so if me being on a channel helps them grow to any capacity, then that's to me that's really, really cool to see a channel grow from there. Haven't really had any requests from any big names or anything like that, but mainly requests for collaborations is down to smaller channels, and I generally don't turn them down unless the YouTuber is a clear troglodyte. But having said that, I'm generally down to help any other YouTubers and such.
Yeah.
But we still got to get you, Martin Brundle, on board for the for the Unplanned Chat. We'll get that done for you someday, man.
I mean, as I said, just because as I said, I was absolutely delighted to have Natalie Pinkham and Matt Gallagher, and I'm absolutely delighted. And as I said, if anybody wants to come on that I haven't mentioned in the tweet, it does not mean that I'm not willing to talk to them. In the same breath, I would, but in the same breath, it's sort of, as I said, as I said, they need to understand that I can't pay them, but everything has been absolutely awesome, and I've really enjoyed it, and I am hoping the people have enjoyed it as well, because I really have enjoyed it. What video has actually kicked off your channel in terms of growth? Because you've got like 80,000 plus subscribers, isn't you?
Yeah. So the one that kicked it off, I do not know who it was. I can't remember his name, but someone shared the WTF happened to Dan Ticktum and they shared it on the WTF1 Facebook account. And that was also about the time where I actually made a follow-up on that video. and it just sort of grew exponentially from there. And of course, there were some other videos along the way, such as the Lance Stroll one, the Yuji Ide one, the Lord Mahavir video, ones that sort of, helped the growth along the way. And sure, there'll be one down the road as well sometime later on, but, I don't think it's just one channel. It's just one video, rather. It's just a series of videos, that sort of caught on in the viewers' eyes, I suppose. It'll be interesting to see what the next sort of big one is. That's for sure, though.
Yeah. So, have you? Do you think we're ever gonna have a race in New Zealand?
Nah, won't happen. I mean, we can barely get the World Table Tennis Championship to happen in this country. We've got no money here. Unfortunately, we sort of give it all away to charity. So the likelihood of us getting a Formula One race here is about as likely as Nicholas Latifi winning the World Championship. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, but there's not. That's not to say that you did have some good Formula One drivers. I mean, there was Brendan Hartley, wasn't there?
He was okay. I mean, I'm glad he at least got a haircut. But Chris Amon was pretty good. And Bruce McLaren, obviously, he founded the McLaren team along with a raft of innovations and such. His legacy is still in the sport. Denny Holm, who was basically just a shaved bear who knew how to drive a car. So we've had some unique Formula One drivers before in the past, who have been very good, punch well above their weight. Some that have missed Formula One or have not really, had a good chance in them, such as Mike Thackwell. So we've had a little bit of rotten luck when it comes to New Zealand Formula One drivers ever since, 1973, last time that Denny Holm was driving. But, maybe there'll be one coming along the horizon. Sort of New Zealand's like one of those other countries such as Argentina where, they had these humongously good drivers in the 50s and 60s, and then nothing's really happened since then. I mean, poor old Argentina. They had the great Juan Manuel Fangio, one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time. Who was the last Argentine Formula One driver? Gaston Mazzacane. And Martin Brundle said that he couldn't drive a nail into a piece of wood. So that really sort of sums it up. Really, is just, yes. Both Argentina and New Zealand need some good Formula One drivers.
Have you got any idea why that is? I mean, you've had you had Brendan Hartley, who obviously was Red Bull Junior, and then he got released, and then they had to bring him back, and then he got released again. So, but then in the same token, he's done brilliantly in other forms, hasn't he? I mean, he's won the WEC, if I'm not very much mistaken. So why do you think it didn't click for him in Formula One?
I mean, there are some drivers that it just doesn't work for, and ironically, I think Stroll is just one of those drivers. He's these people aren't bad drivers. It's just for some reason it just doesn't click for them. Like Jan Magnussen, Ricardo Rosset as well to a degree. And people say Ricardo Rosset. Well, yes, he won quite a lot of stuff outside of Formula One. Again, sometimes it just doesn't click for people in Formula One. I just felt with Hartley, in his junior career, he was decent. And this is, we're judging harshly here, of course, but, comparatively speaking, Jaime Al-Jaswari, who was the other Rebel Junior, won the Formula 3 championship that Hartley finished, second or third in. So you got that competition against you. So he finished behind him. And I didn't really feel he was that brilliant. He was definitely good. Don't get me mistaken. He went over to GTs. He won Le Mans. He won the World Endurance Championship. So that's, not a bad driver at all. You can never claim he's a bad driver at all. And Stroll's the same way. He's not a bad driver at all. People like to make would like to make it out as he is. But, he's got the Italian Formula 4 Championship, Canadian Karting Championship, Toyota Racing Series champion. I was here when he won it. The European Formula 3 champion. There were some things around that championship, but still, that's an accolade for him. So he's got a lot of accolades around him. He can drive. But for whatever reason, it's just not clicking in Formula 1 lately, whether that's down to crap performances in qualifying or whatever. But I reckon you put him in a GT car, he could really make a lot of headway. I don't know. It's a weird thing, motorsport. Some things work out, some things don't. Maybe put Lord Mahavir in a GT car and see how he does, because it's in an open wheeler. He's lost at sea.
I mean, it's funny. It's good that you mentioned Lance Stroll, because what do you think about the rumors that Vettel might be going to Racing Point, and who do you think is going to get kicked? Who do you think is going to have to make way?
I think we all know who's going to have to make way. It'd definitely be Perez, which I was furious about after the Styrian Grand Prix, because Perez had that ultra awesome performance. But then in the next round, Stroll straight out outperformed Perez. There is no two ways about it. I've been up for way too long. Stroll was the better of the two drivers, and he arguably should have gotten driver of the day, definitely driver of the weekend at the Hungarian Grand Prix. And that's where I'm sort of bringing up the question, has Lance Stroll developed now to a point where after 3 years of average results, he's finally shown the junior formula career form that we've seen? A little bit too early to sort of determine that now, but still though, it's a good performance. There is no debate in regards to who's going to make way. It's pretty evident that Perez is going to make way, which is really crap. But we know that Perez has got the backing to go over to another team, and they'll probably go over to Haas, because Gunther Steiner is probably wanting to kick out Romain as soon as he possibly can. But I do hope that with Stroll's form that this is a constant, because if it is, then I've got no friggin' qualms about Stroll staying in the seat. Because if we got this going on week in and week out, then yes, they've kicked out the right driver. But, yeah, we'll have to see. By the way, I'm calling it right here, absolutely affirmatively, 100% on camera, saying that Lance Stroll is going to get pole position in Monza. I am not joking. He's had very good form there. He's in a good car, and he's never been out qualified there. So
you reckon he's going to get pole in Monza? So
yep.
If you agree with Josh, do let me know in the comments below.
There'll be people in the comments saying Josh has gone mental.
Yes, but two more questions if that's all right with you.
Yeah.
The first one being, what? I mean, my argument is, or my worry is, that if Racing Point get to, if they get to win a race, or get a podium, with every single good result is going to be under a bit of a cloud, isn't it? Because didn't Renault say that they was gonna sort of protest every single result? Or what's your take on that?
I think really it's down to sort of the copying thing. I'm not sure if there's any rules governing how you copy a car or anything like that. But one thing I can say is that the sport's been around for 70 years. And for almost all that time, teams have been copying other teams. Like, that's just sort of the sport, you copy. You always sort of copy other people's designs in order to keep up with the pack. This is a unique thing, though, because this is almost an entire car. This isn't one component. This isn't like copying a certain type of active suspension or double diffuser or whatever. This is an entire freaking car.
Yes.
And it's obvious right down to the friggin' windshield, everything. So it's a unique case in my books. If the FIA deem it legal, then it's freaking legal. In the same way that Bottas's jump start, if that's legal by rules, then I got no problem with it. At the end of the day, the rule book's there, it's black and white. If there are problems with it, then you change it. But if they're not committed at that time, so what? It's just the way things roll. Other teams should just do better. And honestly, if this is the case going forward, then other teams should probably take heed and say, well, okay, if we're allowed to do this, then let's copy our cars then.
Okay.
So I got no problems with it, basically. So put it, bluntly.
So the final question I'm gonna put to you. I know this is gonna cause. It's caused a lot of debate, and that is one of the questions I put down. I asked Natalie Pinkham in the interview I did with her yesterday, and I guess you can kind of see where this is going. Yeah, it's about a certain Spanish driver called Fernando Alonso coming back.
Yep.
Reactions.
He's got good eyebrows. He's got a hell of an ego behind him. Juan Manuel Fangio said, always strive to be the best, but never believe that you are. Alonso forgot that last bit, But does he have a right to say I'm the greatest driver in the world right now? He's won just about everything there is to win, except for the Paris-Dakar and Indy 500. But still, he's a hell of a talent, and you obviously want the best drivers in the world to be in racing in Formula One. And I definitely see him as being one of the best right now, even if I don't really like his personality. You put feelings aside and you just say, well, is he the best in the world? One of the best in the world anyway? Yeah, he is. So, yep, I'll be looking forward to seeing him come back. But, the combination of Fernando Alonso and Cyril Beatball, the elephant's foot and the Chernobyl power plant will be less toxic than that partnership. It's going to be an interesting dynamic, that's for sure.
Yeah, can I take from that year that you are in favour of it?
I'm in favour of it. I don't know how it's going to go, but yeah, I'm in favour of it.
Because my argument is, well, what's the point in young driver academies then? It's going to be his third stint with the team, so. I'm in two minds about it, to be honest with you. But we can only wait and see, can't we?
Well, Zhou, everyone was saying, Zhou's got to get in, maybe he would have been good enough, but Lundgaard would have been more of a opportunity because he's already got the super license points, I think. And he'll very easily get them in just 1 year anyway, this year in Formula 2. So, let's say he wins the Formula 2 championship this year. He'll still have the super license points for another 3 years. So, I don't think it's, too bad for the likes of Lundgaard, So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see, for sure.
So, let's make a bit of a prediction. How do you think Fernando is going to fare in his first season with Renault coming back?
Well, chassis and engines are frozen. Given the pace that's demonstrated so far, Ricciardo's hovering about the podium. Not hovering about the podium. He's sort of just a little bit behind the battle for it. I reckon Fernando Alonso is going to be pushing and potentially getting those podiums. Again, a lot of this can be down to circumstance as well. You have a race of high attrition, or if you have two lead cars go out, it changes the whole thing completely. So I reckon he'll probably be in the fight for the podiums in at least one situation next year.
Okay, so yeah, this is nice to hear from you. Actually, have you got any more that you want to say?
Not really. Other than just again, thanks for having me on, and yeah, keep on pumping out the content, man. We're all
Yeah.
supporting you here in the F1 YouTube community.
Yeah, and yeah, I look forward to when my shirt arrives. So cheers for that, Josh.
Oh
Really,
yes.
really appreciate that, and I'm looking. Maybe you will make it the next video about Mike Schumacher, eh?
Possibly. You never know in the future.
Okay, cheers for coming on, Josh.
No worries, dude. Take it easy, eh?
Yeah, if you haven't already, guys, do check out both of our channels. I'll leave a link in the description down below, and then also if you like this video, do leave a like and yeah, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's start a discussion going. All right. So cheers, Josh. Speak to you
Cheers,
later.
mate. Thanks, mate.
Bye.